Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Emilia Skupień, and I wanted to start with a quote, which is mm, if you cannot measure it, you cannot improve it. So I guess that's the reason we meet on on these seminars to see what we can do as engineers with world around us. So measuring bring us to the improvement. As I said, I am Emilia Skupień, and I have a master in transport and then a PhD in machine construction and operation. And my specialty is inland waterway vessels. But nevertheless, I do a research in traffic engineering, which is sustainable urban mobility, organization of transport processes, integration of traffic mobility modes, different modes, risk management in transport systems, assessment of maturity, efficiency, and development prospects of transport, safety issues in modernization challenges of transport infrastructure. And the inland navigation I would not develop because it's not our topic. Based on my recent research, I propose the topic of this seminar. My goal of the plant research is to see what is the influence of data of system efficiency. So what data bring us to development of system. And as a start point of this research, I proposed by now two papers with my colleague Szymon Fierek. And the first one was a source of use of bicycle traffic data in research and urban mobility management. And the second one, which was not published yet but is under review right now, is factors influencing the efficiency of bicycle system in cities. The presentation topic is data-driven assessment of bicycle system efficiency, which I wanted to conduct following these steps. So at the beginning, the cycling in sustainable urban mobility, which I hope will be obvious for all of you, but if not, I hope you could find something new for you. Then the main topic of bicycle system efficiency and evaluation cycling system and data-driven assessment, which could bring us to the conclusion and implication for sustainable mobility planning. So what do we want from data to plan better, more efficient? Before I start the introduction, I just wanted to ask you a question. I know there is no possibility for getting the answer, but think to yourself, what was the mean of transport you get to the point where you are? Is it your house? So probably you get there yesterday, or if it's your university, what was the mean of transport you used? Was it your private car? Was it public transportation? Maybe you were able to walk there. And what were the reason of choosing this mode of transport? I'll give you a few seconds to think of it. And I wanted to show you the mobility pyramid. I hope you know it. It is the way of showing what mode of transport we should use in what frequency. It would be the best for all of us, I mean, for the society, for the environment, and for the transportation system, if we would use our private cars or private means of transport the least. And the most we would walk or use any other private vehicles that are smaller than car. It is connected and possible to achieve due to the concept of 15-minute neighborhood or 15-minute city. I hope, again, you know it if we talk about sustainable mobility. It is quite obvious, but to to refresh. In this neighborhood, we are going to provide to the citizens everything that they would need for a daily basis in a 10-15 minute walk from their house. So that would be schools, some community centers, commercial districts, parks, medical service, employment centers, grocery stores, and transit to get to the other part of the city where there are more of those facilities that are required for a greater number of people. It goes hand in hand with the city spreads, because the more city spreads, the more transport or movement we need. So if we do not have this 15-minute neighborhood or 15-minute city, and it will require more than 15 minutes, for example, to get to our school, to get to grocery store, and so on and so forth, we would have to. It's not the way of choosing. We would have to use other source of transport to get there, because, for example, we won't be carrying heavy groceries for distance than 1 kilometer. So it is the way of organizing transportation in the city, but also it is a way of organizing the city itself. If we talk about the private vehicles or private cars, it is important to mention that there is thing like land occupation, which goes with a high level of use of cars. On this graphic, we may see that to carry 50,000 people per hour per direction, a city needs a 155-meter wide road if we use only private cars, and 35 meters of buses line, or 9 meters of track for metro, or trams are less efficient, but it would be even then it would be less than 35 meters of wide of the way. So if we spread the city, we would also need to devote more land for transportation purposes. It also can be illustrated like this. It is a photo from my my town city, Wrocław. And on the left side, we may see 36 of cars, which would transport about 45 people, because usually when we use a private car, we go only by one person. From time to time, that too. In the middle one, we may see a tram and the passengers, which are 45. And on the right, there are 45 bike users on their bikes. The advantages of the bikes over the public transportation is that, similarly to a private car, they can transport us, let's say, door to door. So we can decide on the direction of a travel, because if we use public transportation, there is a still problem of last mile. Yeah, so how to get to the stop, and how to get from the stop to the final point of our journey. This was to convince you that bicycle could change the way we see the transportation in a city. So they can go as an exchange for cars, and they can also be efficient. So yeah, once again, and I will repeat it during the presentation, if we cannot measure, we cannot improve it. So if we want to get a higher level of anything connected to bikes, I will go to how to measure efficiency in a moment. But however we would call it, however we would want to achieve, we would want to name it, we have to measure it to be able to improve it. and to check if we really improved it or not, because if we won't measure, there is no way to compare. Now would be the second question for you. How do you think, what is the efficiency? How can you define it? I hope you have some mind, some thoughts about it. And the definition is that the efficiency is a ratio of input to output. And we can, to measure it, to define it, we may use the infrastructure, investments, policy arrangement or devotion, cycling uptakes, modal share, health outcomes, emission reduction, and so on and so forth. I hope no one needs to be persuaded that using a bicycle is health efficient and for the society it also has some impacts, positive impacts. But if we want to talk about the efficiency, how can we define it? How can we define it in a way that could be measured? So one of the ideas I already showed you is a land occupation. So how much land do we need to transport those mass of people from one point to another? Because I'm not sure if you are aware that if we talk about bike, it doesn't take a lot of space, especially on the road. But if we talk about car, the things I said previously, that it takes some space if we talk about moving around the city. Yeah, so we need to have some roads, but also parking spots are land consuming because we need to have one spot next to our flat. The second one near our work or university, and then we need some spots in the places where we go. So, for example, in a shopping mall, next to the cinema, and so on and so forth. So there are spots that cannot be used, for example, for I don't know, trees or benches or things that could be helpful or needed for all of us for the society. They are spare to for cars. Yeah, so the space, the land occupation is one of the factors. We may see the statistics of energy efficiency, so how much energy that costs. But also we can go strictly to cost efficiency for users. And it depends on who wants to assess the efficiency and why to do it. And having that in mind, we could assess what data do we need in this purpose. Getting back to the research I was talking about, one part of this, I will say only a few highlights from this research. Me and my colleague, we were talking to experts in a field of bicycle transportation, bicycle systems, and bicycle infrastructure in cities of Poland. And we talked to experts from the biggest Polish cities, over 500 inhabitants. And we asked them to rate parameters that allow to assess the efficiency. We gave them our proposition, but they could also give their own answers. They didn't, so our list was, I guess, completed. We asked them to rate it from 1 to 6. So the higher level, the more important it was in their opinion. I didn't bring any numbers on the slide because I think it's only the proportion was important in this matter. We have two colors. The blue was for the expert's opinion. So we asked them, what is your opinion? What is the most important if we want to assess efficiency of bicycle system in your city? And the green one was to say, in their expert opinion, when they try to convince politicians to some solutions, what was the most important for politicals, what they think is most important, and um, what arguments given would persuade them. So you may see that there are differences between experts' opinion and how they feel the politician looks at the world. The one that is, I guess, the most visible is the third from the last. It's infrastructure costs. It's pretty high in a level of importance for politics, but it's any of importance of experts. Because the bicycle infrastructure actually it's not so expensive, because they are in Poland actually. They usually do the bicycle infrastructure while doing other investments. So yeah, if we talk about building a road or improving some solutions connected to road building, the infrastructure for pedestrian or for bikes, is not so expensive if we compare it. Okay. So the most important from this part of our research was that the experts named it as a modal split, which is the most important if you want to assess the efficiency. So how many people use bicycles? Then cohesion of infrastructure network, not the length of the infrastructure, but the cohesion. Cycling traffic year on year in specific points, because it's pretty easy to get those data. You just put some counter in a spot, and then you check how many bikes go or went through the point. Yeah? And also, yeah, for the politics, infrastructure costs were important. On the slide, you may see the map of Wrocław, my hometown, and Amsterdam. They are in a similar scale. They are print screens from Google Maps. And I asked Google Maps to show the bike infrastructure. Yeah, so as you may see, there is a big difference between the cohesion and the length of infrastructure between those cities. I wasn't surprised because the Amsterdam is known from being bicycle friendly, but it in a short way goes to the modal split, which you can see here. So in Wrocław, to the research that was conducted in the city in 2024, only less than 5% of trips were made using bikes, while in Amsterdam is over 30%. So, the cohesion of infrastructure influenced the modal split, as you can see. Okay, going further. Once again, if you cannot measure it, you cannot improve it. So, what is a way, for example, for measuring things that they are hard to be shown as a number? Yeah, they can usually bring us many important data, but it is hard to put them into numbers. So getting to data-driven assessment, we also ask the experts from Polish cities, but now from cities over 100 inhabitants. So we get more answers, and that was a survey. What type of data they collect, what are databases they use, what file format, what is the collection frequency, and so on and so forth. And we got the answers as you may see in here. So they usually, I guess most of the cities, not all of them, collect data from traffic counters. The bigger cities which make travel surveys, they have a modal split. Some of them also use GPS app or crowdsources data. The biggest cities in Poland, a few times a year, have some like games for bike riders that they would use some apps connected to location and speed, and they could show what distances and how often they ride a bike and get some points, and then have some grades for that. The next data is bike sharing system data. The cities that have bike sharing systems, they usually use the data connected to the systems. For example, where are the places that these bikes are mostly used? Yeah, so then we know where the infrastructure should be at the highest level. And it's actually this kind of data are actually easy to assess and to get. Then infrastructure inventory, as they usually make the infrastructure. I mean, they build it and they renovate it, so they have data of where the infrastructure is, what is the condition of the infrastructure. So it is just a consequence of dealing with the infrastructure. They also have data of safety. They get it from the police reports. And if some accidents with the bicycle rider occurs, they analyze it, they check what was the reason and if the infrastructure can avoid any further accidents in the spot. Okay, and any other commercial and conditional data they could have. And we also asked them, what do they do with the data? What can they assess using them? So they use it to assess cycling intensity, some patterns, long-term trends, impact of new infrastructure, share of cycling in mobility, of course, trip purpose, trip lengths, and social demographic profiles. A trip purpose getting from travel surveys are very important part of data because they can show us that bikers usually, or maybe not usually, but often, do not go the shortest way, but the most convenient. Yeah, the most safe, or for example, in a city where there are changes in elevation, I mean that they have to go up and down, they can usually choose the way that won't be the shortest on a map, but shortest meaning the time of trip. Okay, then we have the route, peak hours, speed patterns, preferred corridors, usage pattern of sharing system, station demand, rebalancing needs, system efficiency, of course. If we talk about the infrastructure, network cohesion can be shown but on a map, but it is hard to assess what is the, I don't know, the range of cohesion of a network. If it's 1 or 5 or 50%, it's very hard to assess it. Then continuity, accessibility, bike and ride parking, availability, missing links, and so on and so forth. But they are usually hard to compare, for example, between a city. Yeah, because looking on a map, it's hard to say that it is better or worse than other map. Okay, then if we talk about safety, we can check what location are on a high risk of some accidents, conflict points, safety performance of infrastructure, and then we can also measure some exposure of noise, air pollution, and infrastructure quality and maintenance needs. So that's what we get from the surveys about data. We also got to know, I didn't write it, but it is written in a paper, that they usually use some internal data sets. They can write it in their own way, in their own spreadsheets or documents. One exception is using GIS, so these are maps using in cities to show some things, but as it is graphical way of showing things, it is hard to compare, for example, between cities. But this is the way they do it in almost every city. Other data are provided in many different ways and approaches. Okay, so once again, if you cannot measure, you cannot improve it. But also the quote on the higher corner, without standardization, there is no basis for comparison, and without comparison, judgment or assessment is meaningless. So our point of view, I mean, me and my colleague, was to achieve or check if the data can be assessed in the way we wanted it, in the further way, to compare them between cities. And as they are collected in many different ways, they are hard to compare because of lack of standardization of gathering those data. So we may check in one city if it's some component or some parameters is better or worse than 5 years ago, but it's hard to compare it between cities. So it leads us to the conclusion of this presentation. And what we would want to state in the mobility planning connected to data, that the data needs to be standardized. I mean, in a level of country or European Union to be more accurate and easy to lead us to some development. So comprehensive traffic surveys, which are pretty common in big city in Poland, provide only partial insights. They include cycling, but they are infrequent and methodologically heterogeneous. So some cities conduct those research in May, other in December. And in our climate, it is obvious that the difference between May and December, if we talk about modal split, is pretty obvious. Differences in timing, weather, and survey design cause large fluctuation in measured cycling shares between cities and years. And also, similarly, if we talk about the infrastructure, if we talk, for example, if length or cohesion of infrastructure for bicycle drivers, some cities count as a bicycle infrastructure only paths that bicycle are separate from other road users, and other cities count there also lines on the street, paths going through parks or places with speed limitation over 30 kilometers per hour, and so on and so forth. So there are many differences, even if the surveys look similar. They collect data in different ways, so it is hard to compare them. And Western European cities show a fundamentally different monitoring culture. Cities like Copenhagen, Amsterdam, and Berlin have continuous automated bicycle monitoring and hundreds of locations. So probably we will get there, but the amount of data is not the only difference in here. The Western European cities integrate countries in traffic management system, counters in traffic management systems, and regularly publish open real-time data so they can be analyzed. And also, if they are connected to traffic management, the bike users can be took into account in, for example, light traffic working systems. National governments support standardization methodologies, enabling long-term longitudinal comparison. Our government doesn't get it into account as much because we always have more important problems than a bicycle system. So the standardization is not in a point of interest, but I guess we may achieve it going from the bottom, yeah. So putting it in 1, 3, 5 cities, and then more and more and more. And if the data would be standardized and it would be shown that it works pretty well, we can get to the standardization not only from the above, let's say. Okay, newer methods like AI cameras, video analytics, sensors, networks can capture more than volume. Cyclist speed, density, route choices, compliance with rules, near missing events, and safety conflicts. They can capture many things that we do not expect. For example, there were some cameras that they were put on a crossroad to monitor the flow of traffic users, all of them. And what wasn't expected but was captured by the camera was that there were some spots on a crossroad that were not used by anyone. So it was the spot that was not on the way of any of the users and was just not used for anything. So it was like not missing, but I cannot find the word. I hope you know what I mean. Yeah, the spot that could be used for something else then, yeah, or the crossroad could be not so large, could be smaller. Yeah, so on camera we may see some patterns that we don't even expect. Integration those data with GIS enable spatial prioritizing of investments, stronger integration of cycling into transport modeling, for example. Yeah, if we would have data, we could put the data into city transport modeling, and then take them into account while planning, for example, traffic lights. And also human-centered data are needed to complement technical measurements for holistic efficiency assessment. So, for example, combining CTS with continuous monitoring. In a CTS, we can also add some quality surveys asking bike users of their opinion on many things. So we may get these data are hard to measure, but they can give us many valuable insights from the users. And better monitoring, including in area without bike infrastructure, is one more thing we are lacking in Poland. It is needed to identify unmet demand. Current Polish practices underestimate potential of ridership. So we do not measure bike traffic on the places where there is no infrastructure, for example. And maybe there is a traffic, but there is no infrastructure. You know what I mean? So the research should be postponed and spread in larger area. And that's pretty much what I prepared. And the funny conclusion: if data were perfect, the bicycle would deliver us to conclusion itself. But that data are not perfect, and that's why we met in here. So once again, if we cannot measure it, we cannot improve it. Thank you for listening.